Shishkin is coming on the outside.
Constitution Hill still in hand here.
Sir Gerhard with a growing advantage.
But Honeysuckle is galloping clear as she races towards the last.
This is the last for John Bond, and he is over.
But this is Tiger Roll at the final fence, up and over safely. A 5th Cheltenham Festival success.
Hello and welcome to Day 3's preview. It's Thursday. There's been a video at the start for Racing Tees, not paid, but go buy some stuff. I'm going to start off, as we always have done on the other two races, or the other 2 days, where we're talking about our best bets of the day. So if you can't be bothered to watch the whole video, you find out what our nappos are. So, Matt, nap for Day 2, please.
Bustleton each way in the Paddy Power Play.
Ooh. John?
Frontal Assault in the Kim Muir.
Oh, Ian?
Dino Blue, Mayor's Novice.
So I'm going to nap up Allaho. So that's all. Right, but let's be honest. No one really cares about the naps. Everyone cares about the racing because it's decent on Thursday, to be fair. Turner's on its head now because Galopin Des Champs going to go there. Or is it really on its head because never run over 3 miles? As much as he was favourite for the Festival Novices Chase at the beginning of the season, were on the realms of possibility to run here. Ruby and Lydia Histop obviously talked about it loads, but it has shaken things up a tiny bit, hasn't it? Probably, again, I'll say the race of the week. Another like classic race. Supreme looks tasty. Champion Chase looks tasty. This looks tasty. How do we see it now, Matt? How have you taken the news that he's coming here?
This doesn't really affect me, mate. I've not got a bet in the race at all. I'd say that I've got Bob in a few requested bets, but that's all. That's it. But we could have a right race if the top 3 in the market do turn up, couldn't we? Bob Ollinger, Galopin Shots, and Tom Press. I'm just going to enjoy the race and hope it delivers on the expectation if they do all turn up. Like I said, I've got Bob in a couple of Sky Bet requested bets from earlier in the season. So from a punting view, I hope he can get the job done. But just be a cracking race, mate.
Yeah, John, you look like you're more nervous about this race.
I am, yeah. This is a big one for me, this one, Dave. And as much as I love Galopin Des Champs, it's going to have to be Bob. I'm going to have to stick with him. Like I said, he's in a few of my my bets, and I need him to win. But I just think that the trip will suit him more than it will with Galopin, really. Galopin will be stepping down in trip only from the last race because that was over 2 mile 5.5 at the Dublin Racing Festival.
Yeah. 5.26, wasn't it, I think.
So I just think Bob's engine, as long as he jumps well enough, I think he'll stick with Galopin and also Long Press. Don't forget about him because I think he's got a live chance as well, to be honest. And if he's going over the last sort of, very close to him, then I think his turn of foot. I think he's got the best turn of foot out of all of them, and no one can deny that. Really, see how quick he can put distance between him and another horse. I mean, my idea of the race really is to kick from the bend, a bit like what Envoy did in the Ballymore a couple of years ago. Where they had the camera angle on Envoy that year, didn't they? And he was 3 lengths behind, and the camera changed, and he was 3 lengths ahead. Turn of foot just took him past everything else. And if Bob can do that, then I think he'll put them all to bed, and they won't be able to live with him. And that's how I hope that Rachel rides him. Really, just really positive and get on with it. From the bend up the hill. But yeah, the Long Press I think's a good horse as well, and he's been very impressive of all the British horses, I think. And he's got a live chance. Interestingly, we ran a poll on this on Twitter last week, and 62% of people went for Bob as the idea of the winner. So again, I'm not sure if it's pocket talking, but there was like nearly 200 votes, I think, in that, wasn't there, lads? And it's quite a high percentage, really, isn't it? Considering it could be a 50-50 thing. But yeah, Bob all the way for me, Dave.
Nice. And then go on, Ian.
So I echo what John says, but I'm just going to get my praying hands ready in case that Willie's watching the show. I think he normally does. So Willie, then Galopin to the Brown Advisory, step him up to 3 miles because you'll know he'll win. So if they both go in the race, I agree with John. I think if Bob jumps like he did at the Ballymore and his turn of foot, I think he'll beat Galopin Des Champs. Just purely, I say with Galopin stepping down and more of a stayer. The ideal trip for Bob, I think he'll do it for a turn of foot. So go on.
Saying you're calling Gallopin more of a stayer. He won the Martin Pike last year. And he's won 2 mile 5 over chases this year.
Won a 3 mile. Bob's not been.
Yeah, he's only won 3 mile over hurdles at the end of Punchestown last year. Yeah. But majority of his races haven't been over that distance. So
just, I don't know. You see, one of the first races, he was like, Townley was like struggling to pull the horse up. So if that's not much of a stay, I don't know what is. But I've written down about the concern about Venetia's Yard and Leon Presse. I personally wouldn't touch him with a barge pole, maybe until closer to the festival, closer to the day. So if there is a bug, it could wipe him out and he could run awful on the day. One I've looked at each way, potentially, but I've heard it may yet have another injury, is Jungle Boogie. Ideal Trip. It's only one, ran 3 times and it won recently. I think at 10 to 12 1 could be a good each way for the places. But if you pin me down, I think I'm Team Bob.
Nice. Well, yeah, Jungle Boogie was one we mentioned a little while back because he's the type of horse reminded me of like a Black Hercules that you could stick him in any trip. And then Black Hercules did come and win the JLT back then, didn't he? So my thoughts for what it's worth were I'm annoyed that Gallopin de Champ's coming in because I was going to lay Bob, and now Bob's going to be too big a price for me to do my very low risk lay as far as I'm concerned. So I was going to leave him to jump a couple and then do it played out. It is obviously a different course that Bob Ollinger's running on here, and I know it's Cheltenham and people say he's won round there and it's all fine, but we do see a difference in horses. Like Min probably wasn't suited to the old course, he was probably better suited to the new course. At least Gallopin de Champ has won on the new course, whereas Bob hasn't. So I wonder whether that sharpness, especially when they turn into that home straight, whether Bob is a good enough jumper for Rachel to be able to ask him to do something special. If they both stand up, I think Gallopin de Champ you could throw into fences and you might better like nick something. And even like Punchestown, the run with Capadana, like Bob Ollinger, because of his engine, he had so much time to like get round. It was all nice and slow, nothing was rushed. But we've seen, look, if you go back and watch like previous JLTs and those sorts of races, like yes, like a few of them might travel in there, but off that turn, you can have a horse that's like on the hind quarters or something. They turn around the corner and it's now all of a sudden 2 lengths behind. So I just wonder whether Gallopin de Champ might be able to do that to Bob. But Bob is a beast. It's going to be like a great race. I still just think I've got to take him on. I don't think Bob's a natural chaser. I definitely think you'll see him over hurdles again some point in his career. So
when Honey retires.
Yeah, when Honey retires, drop him back, winning a champion hurdle. We can come 5th in a champion hurdle after that. I do genuinely just worry about his jumping, but he's a novice and he's allowed to make mistakes. It's just with that first Chase debut, when he made a few shapes and kicked his legs and stuff, he wasn't in a position where he needed to do it. And it was the same in his point. He wasn't losing balance to kick his legs out. There's obviously horsemen out there that know far better than I do, but I just don't know. Jungle Boogie would definitely be interesting if he runs in here, wouldn't he? But shouldn't be able to have the class to beat either of those. It should be between the top 2. I don't like as much as Lahon Press is okay. The snotty nose stuff from Venetia, stick up her ass. It's just that it's not worthy of it. If you've got a horse and you can't isolate and wait for the rest of the yard before Cheltenham, she's just coming out and saying stuff to make excuses all of a sudden after Gallopin de Champ's been confirmed to go there. I don't think he's good enough.
Willie could just throw Haute Couleurs, Jungle Boogie and St. Sam in the race and just box Bob in on it, couldn't he?
That could be, couldn't it? This is what we do. This is why if there was a virtual horse racing game, we would all be doing the same thing. So I think we're all agreed that it's going to be a pretty tasty race, but I think we're probably all a little bit undecided of which way it's going to go. I think the 2 people that want Bob to win or think Bob's going to win have had a bet in the race, and the 2 people that want to take Bob on haven't had a bet in the race. Maybe
I'd like Bob to win because I'd like Bob to win because I know how much John's set to win, but from my perspective, I've no bet on it. Just hope it's a cracking race and that's it.
But I do think, as much as I like say that I want to take on Bob Ollinger and all those bits and pieces, and he's jumping and stuff like that, like the low risk bet strategy was going to be lay him, see how he jumps the first couple, and if he's okay, then just get out of it. I know it's early in the race, but I'd just get out of it. If he made a mistake early, I'd be happy to leave it for a while, and then I think he would trade bigger in running, so I'd have been able to get a risk-free bet. So I do think his engine is big enough that he can beat Gallopin de Champ. It's just going to be such a great race to watch. I hope it's not one of those though that it's such a close finish in the end that you'd say, oh, so and so should have won this if they didn't make the mistake. And then I know it's exciting for the rematch and all those sort of things, but yeah. I hope we get a definitive winner out of it. And I hope for you, John, it's Bob.
Thank you.
Not for you, Ian.
In my pocket.
Right, we'll move on to the Pertemps. Now, this is a race. I have looked at some of the. Well, I've looked at the handicaps. I haven't looked at this one because I like to go back and watch the replays of it, and I want to know the Irish marks so I can work out who's going to get in. Obviously, you get horses that are entered in multiple races, but I think ideally they'd want to come in here. I do have a horse that I'll just mention before I let any of you speak that I do like. Right, I like the Cobb anyway, but I don't think he's got a chance in this. But I do like Pylon as well, and there's like form lines that tie in a bit with the Cobb. Now, he's very unexposed at the trip. Philip Hobbs, I did the Colossus preview a couple of years back, and lucky enough, Dickie Johnson came in to cover for someone that wasn't supposed to be in there. And I asked him about which horse did they fancy quite a bit for the festival that wasn't like a well-fancied one, because Deffy was running at the time. And he said that Pylon will win the boys' race, so the Martin Pipe, and he got beat short head by Indefatigable. Now, that was on soft ground. He was 138 rated then. He's won at over 3 miles this season at Sandown. He was fourth behind Kashari at Aintree when Kashari won at 80s one, but he was never an 81 bloke. Darryl put him up that day, tipped him at 16s, and he went off at 80s. But Pylon's 135 rated, so he's £3 lower than when he was in that Martin Pipe. I just think it's interesting. He ran in before with blinkers and they just didn't suit. They've never tried him again. I just think they may have set him up for this particular race. I know he was crappier on New Year's Day, but line through that, they're setting him up for this race. So he would be my interest. I've had a bet on him. I probably will back something else in the race as well, but I do like a bit of Pylon, or Pilion, however everyone wants to say it. Ian, you jump in now. What do you like?
Okay, well, I've come down on two. One, I think, could be the classy horse of the race, and probably the obvious one is Sporting John. Now, if you go like through Presenting Percy and Cider Burley, I think they were, when they won, or Cider Burley won twice, the classy horse of the race. Better grade runs at Cheltenham for Sporting John. He will be top weights, but I think he could carry that and be the one to win. The other one I've looked at each way, I know Gordon Elliott likes this horse, is Mars Harper. Now, has Cheltenham form, qualified at 3 miles in 5th, and since then has had a couple of pipe openers over 2 mile 4, coming 2nd and 7th, but probably just to keep the mark down. So I think that's could be a potential one for Elliott to get into the places or potentially win. But if you pin me down, Sporting John, I think, to be the one.
Ooh, wrong Hobbs horse, unfortunately, but good try anyway. John, what do you like in it, mate?
Yeah, I've got a couple as well, one each side of the Irish Sea. The first one is Dunboyne for Elliott again. Now, it's not a bit of a secret, really, is it, that the way he finished in his qualifying race, when he finished 5th, he didn't look like he was trying. But then the time after that at Leopardstown, he came into all sorts of trouble and finished way down the field. Now, he's on a marker, his Irish mark's 128, so I'm not so sure now he's going to get in, because he might get raised a few pounds. I mean, what would be the lowest in recent times to get in? Is it sort of mid 130s? Is it?
We've had low 130s before. Mrs. Milner won it last year for 134, and Call the Cops won it off for 133, I think.
Right. So there's a chance, isn't there? I mean, we'll find out obviously this week, won't we? But
have you got it, Ian? Have you got the numbers for it?
Well, I don't know if I should give him a plug, but I watched a video today with a couple of young lads affiliated with Racing TV, if you get what I mean.
Oh yeah, let's talk racing, Josh and Andrew.
And they said 136 should get in, and then 152, 154 will probably be top weight, top mark.
Again, I haven't seen the race and I haven't looked at the race, but Mrs. Milner was 134 last year for definite, wasn't it? But again, they probably looked at the figures and then worked them out. But Dunboyne hopefully might. See, they're the sort of horses, aren't they? When they're rated that number, you want them to get the full £7 UK tax, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, just to make sure that he gets in. The other one is, now this horse has been faffing about over fences most of the season, and I thought that they were plotting this up for the Ultima or something. Now, he had a spin over hurdles at the end of January and dropped £5. He finished 5th to Risk and Roll at Huntingdon, and that's Honest Vic. Now, he's won a Pertemps qualifier a couple of years ago, course and distance, so we know he likes the axe on the course, and I just think now he's gone down to 141. I think he's on a really, really good mark, and it could be a winning mark if he comes here. I think he'd have a good chance, so he'd be like a decent one, an each way shout for me in this. And obviously Dunboyne if he gets in as well.
Nice. I'll give you some info about that on his fit, just for the sake of you mentioned him. George, I did a preview with him. He was on once with us, and he mentioned that he fancied on his Vic. That was before nearest to trials day, but before that, said that he liked him for the race at a big price. I backed him and I watched the race. And Risk and Roll has run since, but another friend of mine did the bit. He didn't back it, but did the after time thing. Sent me a message he'd been sent after, where Risk and Roll had been to a horse osteopath because it had a back issues and it had responded really, really well to treatment. So it was out of the handicap by £1. It was a 33 to 1 poke, but basically it had been running with a dodgy back for a while before, and it was fresh and ready to go that day. The bloke messaged him and said it will outrun its odds today. So the fact that Honest Vic was well beaten in there, I wouldn't put me off at all. The fact that he's running, like you say, he qualified earlier. So nice shout, maybe not for me because Pylon wins. Matt.
Yeah, I've gone through the race on the trend similar to last year, which helped me land Mrs. Milner at 35 to 1. Still yet to fully decide on one that I'm completely sold on. Amongst the few I have been looking at, Third Wind is one. If he is declared, I would have a punt on. He was fourth in this race in 2020, finishing 8 3/4 lengths behind Cider Burley off 141, which he would be going off again if he runs in it this season. Looking further down the market, down on my shortlist on the spreadsheet, Course Serene at 40 to 1. Doesn't fit all the trends, however, they are only there as a guide, and you have to go and make your own mind up about horses in this game. If he runs and he's anywhere near that price on the day, I will have a small each way on him. Sullybag is the last one that takes my interest. He was sent over in October to qualify and finished 5th. Through a very nice ride by Jordan Gainford. He hasn't been seen since, and he ran that day off 140. So you would imagine they are very happy with his mark, and have just been protecting it with this in mind as his target. At 14 to 1, I'll take a win-only punt on him.
Nice. Well, that's pretty good, to be fair. Like I said, I haven't got stuck into it too much yet because I'd rather wait for the weights to come out tomorrow or today or yesterday, whenever you're watching it, just so you can see where the field's going to fit in there. But interesting thoughts. I like it, especially like you mentioned, John, that Dunboyne, that penultimate race was very eye-catching. And I think off the back of that, I thought that's not definitely the Pertemps winner, but looked like it would be it. And they were talking about it, weren't they, saying about his mark and stuff. He was beating 7/8, but I think people thought he would have gone up for that penultimate run in Ireland, and he didn't, did he?
No.
We'll see if he can squeeze it at the bottom.
Let's hope he does.
Nice. Right. Then we will move on to the Ryanair Chase, where my nap of the day, I know, guys, it's outlandish to put up such a big priced horse. The funny thing with Allaho as well is, at the beginning of the season, he was short anyway, wasn't he? And I was just a bit keen to think that this horse doesn't always run great, doesn't always show his true colours. Trip's obviously been quite key to him, and every time he's done something since, he just gets more and more impressive, and the closer and closer it gets to it, the more I just cannot see past him. I backed Shambu in the without market on the exchanges just because I thought the likes of Fakir wouldn't come here, so I managed to get a free trade on that. So as far as the race stands, I don't know how much I'll actually play it when it comes to final declarations. I know what I'm like. I'm going to end up laying Allaho, even though I've napped him there, just because he's just so short. But he's 4 to 6 now. Obviously, Energumene's not going to come here. He should do.
He's going to be very, very short on the day.
Yeah, exactly. But genuinely, if Shamblue or Conflated are the next best horses in the race, and Shamblue's 144 rated, and Conflated just fluked a race the last day, well, may not have fluked it, but we think he probably did. Allaho could be 3s on or something stupid, and just for the fact that I've got something about him that I think he can potentially throw in a bit of a dodgy race. I'll end up doing some sort of stupid lay on him. Hopefully there's less than 7 runners, and then I can place lay him rather than just lay him, and then it's very low risk again. But is there anything genuinely, if Allaho for whatever reason disappoints, that you'd be confident in backing without him? Or yes. Is it all much of a muchness in behind? Oh, who said yes? Ian?
No, yeah.
Go on then.
Janadil. If it goes. 3rd in the Irish Gold Cup, 5th in the Savills Chase, 2nd in the John Durkin. I think that says it all, to be honest. The Shamblue, again, I think I saw something about the owners wanted to run here, and it's the reason why it's gone in the Ryanair rather than a handicap. But you mentioned a lot, Lisa, the Energumene won't go, and I think St Calvados has bled since. So there's, other than Allaho at the top of the market. There's nothing really there. And I think 10-1 Janadil with that experience and that line of form, I think is quite good without Allaho.
If you're giving Janadil a chance without market, you've got to give Asterion Falange a chance then as well, because he fell when he was coming to win that John Durkin.
Is Cheltenham the only place Asterion's not fallen at?
I think so.
He's never fallen left-handed.
Never fell left-handed, has he?
He's never fallen left-handed. That's the thing, yeah.
So yeah, it could be a shout.
Go on then, Matt.
Allaho wins it, so.
so if we're all agreed that Allaho wins it, bar incident, unless Putin drops a nuke. So for you then, Matt, would you be saying that Asterion Falange would be the one you'd be tempted with without?
I wouldn't have looked at that, but just looking then, yeah, he'd be the one I'd be looking at without then.
The thing is, for as great as Allaho is, though, Janadil is the closest thing that's got to him. I think I'm Team Ian at the moment. Go on, Matt.
No, I know, I get that. That's why I said you'd have to give Asterion Falange a chance, because he was travelling all over Allaho in the John Durkin before he fell.
Yeah, true.
So just looking at the betting, so Energumen second favourite won't go. Apoutard third favourite won't go. Shakan fourth favourite won't go. Then you got Shamblou, Conflated 9-1. Okay, Envoy won't go. Fakir won't go. Janadil. So it's.
So
Fakir could still turn up.
I genuinely don't think he will though. Like I know he could, but I really don't think they'll run him. And I think I think Asterion Falange will go Gold Cup. He's a big he's 18s on the exchange without Allaho, and there's not much liquidity in the market. But if they thought he was going to come here in the without market, I would suspect he would have been back. But you can get, again, it's for peanuts. You can get like 7-2, 4-1 Janadil without on the exchanges. Shan Blue is like 3-1, 7-2 without. Like I backed him because I knew that he'd be the obvious one people to go with. But surely he's not good enough to come second to Allaho.
Not for me.
I don't think he is, but
I might stick a few quid up with Janadil without then Ian. But the thing is, it's not non-run and no bet when you're backing on the exchanges and doing these sort of things. But I suspect he's going to come here. I might be able to get a few quid on that one as a little bit of a cover. John, anything interesting from you in here away from Allaho?
Not really. I think he just wins. Interesting. You think Fakir won't run? I mean, I thought he probably would do. Because what I was hoping is if he goes, I think a rock solid place double with Zana here in the champion hurdle and Fakir in this race would be a good bet, because I couldn't see either of them out of the places.
Yeah, the big problem as well with Fakir is that Ascot Chase is a painful race. Yeah, coming into Cheltenham, because the year that Waiting Patiently won and like Froden and stuff were in behind. I think I backed Froden the year before he won the Ryanair. But it just takes so much out of him. And if Fakir would have won more comfortably, I think they could have come here. But I just don't think they will. But it'd be interesting to see if they do. But then it's only a few weeks after that to go to Aintree, isn't it? Another soft grade one.
Maybe they'll keep him for that to win that again. Then perhaps, yeah.
But there is the point that he might be second best in. But then I suppose 2 for Gold getting so close to him just maybe exposed him, didn't it? As maybe he's not even that good.
Quite possibly.
But this is the dangerous hole you can go in, isn't there? When you've got a good thing and you start looking at alternatives, you can end up throwing 20, 30 quid around saying that
just Allaho wins. Lob him in with honeysuckle and some shishkin or something. Do a treble instead.
All right, we'll go with that then.
Happy with that.
We'll move on from the Ryanair to, again, like not the race of the festival, but an ultra competitive renewal of the Stayers hurdle. Asterion Falange on here. Short, isn't he?
You sending him back over hurdles?
Well, only because it's not money, no bet.
He was in the Gold Cup a minute ago, Dave.
I know, yeah. he's not on the exchanges. He's not sure, but yeah, he's 10-1 bet 3-5 out. But the fact that he can't jump, send him back over hurdles just for the banter. But obviously, the top 4 in the betting. I'm saying top 4. I'm excluding Paisley because I know Paisley possibly could, but maybe a bit of a flash in the pan. We'll include him in there. The top 5 of them potentially got a case you could make for him, but they've also got reasons you could want to take them on. So I'm very keen to know what all your thoughts are. Matt, we'll go with you first.
It's a minefield, mate, at present. I am keen on Flooring Porter's chances in this, and I don't think Thyme Hill can be completely ruled out. It's another race I have no definite answer to give. But how great would it be to see Paisley Park storming up the hill like he did at the end of January? It'd bring the house down. The Raw would be incredible. Whether you had money on him or not, it would be something special to see. That's it.
Fantasy bet then, isn't it? Just stick it all on Tiger Roll Paisley double for the sentiment.
That might be it, mate, yeah. And both retire at the end of it, maybe.
Bizarre. You gave us great advice about Allaho, and now you're telling us about Paisley Park. Right, John, come on. We need some sense talk now, please.
Right. Well, this is, like you say, this could be one of the races of the week because you could throw a blanket over them in the market, can't you? They're all very they're all tight. Most of them have let you down once at least this season. They've been beaten in races where you expect them to win. I think Flooring Porter will probably set a strong pace in it. So I think that might suit Time Hill in it, to be perfectly honest with you, as well. It'll probably suit Paisley as well, yeah, but I think Time Hill would be the one to sort of maybe, be suited by that. I think you can ignore that French run because it was just the desperate ground and it was over some, the strange hurdles over there. He didn't take to that. And I think his run behind Champ was pretty good, to be honest. He wasn't too far behind. And I think that was sort of turned into a bit of a sprint at the end. And that's where Champ sort of excels a bit. So I think the strong pace with Flooring Porter, and I think there's one or two others in there that will try and keep up with him. So I'd go Time Hill, but one at a price I'm just going to throw in here. Now, his last run wasn't too great, to be perfectly honest with you. And he's totally unexposed at this trip, and it's Song for Someone. I think he's available at 66 to 1. And I just think that maybe, he'll come here and just run a decent race. And he might be one to sort of play on the day with the extra places. I think he was 66s maybe a week or two ago. I don't know if anyone's had a nibble on him yet, but...
Yeah, he's 50's top price with Bet365, but just interestingly, come looking on here as well, he's 42 to back on the exchange and 55 today. Like, people want to back him in the stayers market, and the 50 to 1 with Bet365, I suspect, will shorten soon because there's money on the exchanges for it. And that's quite a decent each way price as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's an each way to nothing, really, isn't it? It's just a fun each way bet that you can just, enjoy it, and just hopefully you can sort of get amongst it and run his race.
To be fair, that's not a bad shout because, again, like we said with the ones at the head of it, like, as much as you can make a case for all of them to win, you could see all of them getting beat as well. And if they all do get beat, Song for Someone comes in. See, I told you someone could talk sense. Ian.
Which is crazy. But
oh, God.
I'm going to stick with Champ.
Okay. Not that crazy.
But they've all beat, as you said, discussed, they've all beat each other. So Champ beat Paisley Park earlier in the season, then turned the form around in that crazy race recently. Flooring Porter's form has not been great. It's fell and pulled up the season in that strange race with Classical Dream where he didn't see the flag and went miles off in front and nobody was catching it. Time Hill, again, after he needs to find a couple of lengths. Champ's beat Time Hill. One potentially, if the ground was terrible on the day, could be Royal Kahala. If he come here, I think it might go to the mares. But I think if we have really poor weather, I think she could be one that could upset everybody. But I don't know. It's a crazy race, isn't it? But I'm gonna stick with Champ. I think. Just
no.
When you said crazy, then I thought you were going to put something like Thomas Darby or
I've seen one called Kashari, but it's not run since November. It won at 80 to 1 at 3 miles. But
yeah, Pertemps horse, isn't he?
The ex-Mullins horse, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Dave mentioned earlier.
That could be one, but see, that would worry me for like 3-4 months.
Stop it.
But it's not.
Like, the Song for Someone thing's worth reiterating. Song for Someone, the fact that it's 50s with Bet365 and it's short as 25s with other bookies. So mention them again. Sorry, Ian, I cut you off.
No, it's just so looking down the bottom, and you've got like Lisnagar, Oscar, Mellon will let go here, Bernovici won't go here, Side de Burley may go
exactly
again. Then you're saying you've got Matey's favourite horse, Thomas Darby, Home by the Lee. It's just
pointless, isn't it?
Yeah, it's either the top ones, or you could have like a freak result that we did with what's the one that won a big prize?
Lisnagar.
Could do. because I've been thinking about how I might better play it on the day, and I can't be bullish enough to split them. And luckily, the market is fairly tight on all of them, which made me start to think, what else could we do in here? Because there's normally plenty of runners in a stairs hurdle. So I had a little look at the place markets. Again, there's not really any liquidity, but just a way that I like to think about it. Of the, I'll say 4. I'm just lining Paisley Park out of it. Probably regret doing that. But I'm saying of the 4, Floor Importer, Time Hill, Classical Dream, and Champ. They're the 4 that I'd whittle it down to. And I'd say of those 2, Classical Dream's an absolute loon, isn't he? And we saw that after he did his Supreme and then was just pants after. And then he got beat by Royal Cajada. And I know Willie says he probably shouldn't have run him, but the horse is just like too unreliable. I just cannot trust him. I know he's capable, but I can't trust him. Champs, I don't even think he's ever been at his best at Cheltenham, which sounds balmy because he's won an RSA, but he was so bad in the Gold Cup last year. I just see him doing something stupid again, so I could never trust him. But Floor Importer, in that run behind Classical Dream, where Classical Dream got the flag up, that was him on his proper day, Classical Dream, and Floor Importer got near to him. So I think he could maybe reverse it. So I think deserves to be fab. And Time Hill, I agree, like you can draw the lines through it. It looks like he's coming forward. I think he would have probably won this race last year. I know he wasn't so good at Aintree, but it was the plan to come here, wasn't it? And then he had a little setback, and he still won at Aintree after that setback. So I think they were getting ready for it. So basically, Floor Importer and Time Hill would be my 2 I take on against the field. But rather than backing them to win, I think I might just smash them both in the place market. And again, there's no liquidity, but you can get 5 to 4 Floor Importer to place. You can get almost 6 to 4 Time Hill to place. So if either one of those 2 comes in the first 3, and I think there's only 4 horses fighting for the gaps anyway, you'd make a small profit. Then obviously if both of them come in, winner, innit? So I think that's like the way I'd be tempted to play it, but who knows what will actually happen on the day. I think it is between the top 2, Floor Importer, Time Hill. But it is like, it does look a tasty race, doesn't it?
Mm. Yeah, it does. I'm looking forward to that.
I just need to nip off for a second.
Oh, thanks for joining us, Matt.
Yeah, back in 2 seconds.
Oh, I mean, technically I could edit it out, but let's crack on with the plate without him. Are we ready for that?
Let's go.
Boom. So the Paddy Power plate, it's a decent enough handicap. I know you've already mentioned Imperial Alcazar earlier, Ian. I do think they think he's going to run in, don't they? Because they think the drop back and trip was the one that suited him. I haven't got anything that I'm too keen on this race. There was one horse that's lured me in at the entries. I only really looked at the Irish horses that were priced 20 to 1 or bigger, but Willie Mullins does not care for this race. So Fan de Blues was the one that I kind of looked at as a semi-interesting horse. He's got problems with his breathing for definite. They put a tongue tie on, then they put a hood on the last day. Now in Ireland, they still don't have to declare whether they've had a wind up or not. Because he fell the last day and they put the hood on, I just wonder whether they did tinker with his wind or whether it make a bit of a difference. But Clutching at Straw have no real opinion in the race. John, you got anything you fancy?
To be honest, this is always the last handicap I tend to look at, and I don't know why. It always seems to be the one where you get horses stepping up, you can get horses stepping down, and you don't really know what's going to run. So I've got a very, very short list, and one of them's been mentioned already for another race, and that was Fusel Raffles. I think this is a race he should go in, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think in this, he'd have a good chance in it. The other one that I quite like is Vienna Court, who's already won on the track as well. And she's only rated 142. She actually went down £1 last time, losing by a length to Pink Legend. So I think she will have a great chance in this race. And also, again, a mare won it last year, didn't they? Mount Ida won it last year. So they've obviously got a half-decent record as well. So I quite like her. But I've not had a play on it yet. But they'll be sort of 2 at the top of my list.
Nice. Matt, you obviously just went off to confer with someone. So who have they given you that's going to win the plate?
Oh, no, I've already got that. I've got my nap of the day in this, haven't I?
Oh, you have? Go on, send it to us.
I had to go and check on the kids, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Could make a case for half a dozen in here, but I'll stick to just a couple that I've whittled it down to. The first is Our Power at 33 to 1. He fits the trend and he ran a nice race on the weekend when stepped up to 3 mile. I think for the first time finished 3rd. His mark hopefully won't be changed for that. That could have just put him spot on. He's very tempting, 1 at 136. Again, if he rocks up here, I will be having a punt on him each way. And then my main fancy, I was telling the lads about it the other day, and it is Bustleton.
Yeah.
The only thing I have against him is his age. That's 5. But I am willing to look past that. He looks to have been campaigned extremely carefully by the looks of it too. He's off 137 plus tax. So you'd imagine he'd be in around 140. He's also entered in the Browns and the Turners, but I can't see him taking up those engagements when he's off this tempting mark, and we know Joseph can plot a horse for the festival. He's run at the course before in the Boodles last year, but the trainer's report said regarding poor performance that the gelding had made a mistake at the 4 last hurdle, never travelling thereafter. And the vet added that a post-race examination revealed that the gelding had lost his left horseshoe. So for that, I can forgive him. And then he's been weirdly campaigning this season, Dave.
Yeah, man.
He started off at 2 mile 2, finishing second. Then he's gone over 2 mile 7, finished second. Then he's on 2 mile 6, won. Beat the boss's Oscar by 13 lengths. Then he's dropped to 2 mile 4, finished third. Then he's gone 2 mile 4 again, beat Coach Carter by 42 lengths. Then he's gone 2 mile 3.5, and he's won again to Indiana Jones. Then he's gone 2 mile 4, and then he's dropped to 2 mile on his last run in the Dublin Racing Festival behind Blue Lord. He's 137 plus his tax of around 140. He could be a lovely little mark for this, mate. I think he's a great price at about 20 to 1 each way.
Mate, it's monster. While you've been doing that, I've not been looking at you, I've been looking at my bets. On odds checker, I was just having a look to see what price was. He's still 20 to bet 365. I've got a feeling that'll be gone by the time this even gets published because he's gone as short as 12 to 1 with everyone else. And one of those is Betfair Paddy Power. I don't know if Joseph O'Brien still does, but he used to be one of their correspondents, didn't he? One of the trainers that was in the know with them. So I do wonder whether he's confirmed a target to them. Interesting. I like him. You sold him to me at 20s anyway. I wouldn't want to back him at, well, wouldn't put me off him at 12s, but you want to see the mark, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
come on then, that's a
20s
napping,
quite
isn't it?
tempting. Yeah, and each way up, that is, mate, on the day.
Like it. And yeah, the 5-year-old obviously is a thing, but again, there'd be such a small sample of it because you don't get too many that are going there.
The trends are only a guide, though, aren't they? You've got to make your own decisions.
Absolutely.
I think he's the only 5-year-old in it, Matty, funny enough. So while I went through trends, I think some of the others are 9 that don't make the trends. So I believe he's the only 5-year-old in the race. Or in the entry, should I say.
I like him. But to be fair, it's a cracking shout. Got decent juvenile form as well as some solid form this season as well, hasn't he? I know he's had about 85 races, but get in there. You've sold me. That's another bet I've put on. Well done. Right, are we happy with the plate?
Yes, I've not got much to add. To say John's stole a bit more thunder, really. But Imperial
irrelevant here by the looks of it.
No, got Imperial Alcazar. I still think we'll go to the Ultima, but if it comes here, I'll back it. And I too like Vienna Court. 2 wins at Cheltenham at the trip, and a couple of horses that have come out behind it. Timeless Beauty has come out and won in February. That's Frank the Form, and a horse called Fontaine Collange has come out and won as well. So that again, Frank's the form for Vienna Court. So they would be my 2.
Like it. I like it a lot. Right. Matt, if you could just go again and then come back, because that one was quite a good one, I think.
Yeah,
and then we'll go on to the Mares Novices Hurdle. Ian, we've got to come to you for the Mares Novices Hurdle because it's all gone wrong. I'm not, and this isn't to rub it in, but I don't. The worst thing is, I saw Brian Galt commented on Twitter as well today earlier. Why did they not give her a Bannymore entry? Because there's moaning about the trip being too quick for her at Cheltenham. She was so good in the bumper. If she had an entry in the Bannymore and she was getting £7 off of that lot, I would be not steaming in, but she would be definitely on my shortlist for a Bannymore. Anywho, let's not rub too much salt in the wounds.
Yes, I've got Dino Blue in the Mares Novice for me. So impressive at Clonmel, won by 15 lengths. I think it's only had the 1 run or 2 runs, so it really, really impressed me, and I backed it off that run. Just looking at some of the others, I'm looking at Allegoria de Vassi, was the favourite and has drifted. It's gone to 7-2 now, 3rd favourite. With that run against Brandy Love, where Brandy Love ran like an absolute nutcase. I think if she wouldn't have diverted left, she would have won. But so she probably is the right favourite. But it's just Dino Blue really, really impressed me. She really impressed me. One at an each way price that I looked at, which is potential best of the British, is one called Love Envoy. one at 2 mile and 2 mile 4 has beat a potential threat called Nurse Susan. So I think Harry Fry could have a good one here. So Dino Blue to win and Love Envoy each way.
Nice. John, you got any fancies in the Mayor's Novices Hurdle, the most exciting race of the week?
To be fair, I'm with Ian on this one. I think Dino Blue is the one to be on. Now, she has only had the one run, but JP got hold of her, hasn't he, as well, which is a plus, I think, for this one. He obviously thinks highly of her. She seemed like a bit of an uncomplicated horse. She's only had the one run, like I say, but she did everything right. And then it was on heavyish ground. She picked up on that. And I don't think nothing really has come out of that race and run that well since. I think that might be a little bit of a downside to it. But it was more of a pure visual thing for me on this one. I just think she looked very handy indeed. Allegory Devassi will be carrying an extra £5, won't she? Because she'll get a penalty for winning the Solarina as well. So, I suspect Brandy Love may reverse the form with her on that, as long as she doesn't jump as violently left, as she did in the last race. Because, like I said to these lads on our preview, that she'll end up on the cross-country course if she does that again. It was just crazy how much she veered off. But then she stayed on and only got beat 3.5 lengths. Now, if you convert those £5 plus the jumping left, with her going left-handed, that might help a little bit, as long as she's not that violent. Then I think she'd be the biggest danger to Dino Blue. The English horses are actually quite decent in this. It's a shame LA Bell isn't running, because I think she would have been right in the mix. But Love Envoy and Nurse Susan are both decent types as well, and I expect them to run good races. But I'll go for Dino Blue in this one, Dave.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning some of them. So that Nurse Susan, Dan Skelton said on his comments that he thinks that she's got everything. He said he's really looking forward to her for the future. Obviously, she did get beat by Love Envoy, didn't she? But it was really bad ground that day, so maybe you could excuse it. And obviously, the fact they're not running LS Bell in it almost kind of makes you wonder whether they're thinking, not saying she's better than her, but they're thinking she must have a bit of a squeak. She's 20s, non-runner, no bet. Matt, what do you fancy in the race, mate?
No, mate, I'm not going to bother saying anything, to be honest. I don't like the race.
Yes, what a guy. Right. I should take
the only one that I said on our preview was Allegory Devassi, but that was until the potential injury news come out. So no point me saying anything just for the sake of it. So
fair enough. She is all right though, to be fair, because on the exchanges she's come back in. I do think a lot of it's people trading positions and stuff. If it is, then her, because she was my original pick on ours. Yeah, she's solid enough on there again. And I know from experience that people will have money on a horse at a big price on the exchanges, and then they won't have any money in their Betfair account, and then they fancy getting an extra 20 quid out, and they just end up laying a horse or whatever's on there, and there's no liquidity. So you see these drifts that will go out, like John Bond the other day as well. I bet someone was just trying to get some, another 50 quid back in their balance, because it's never for big money. But yeah, she's settled back down on there. One that I've got to mention, just because I've mentioned her before, Statuaire. I know the form's pretty pants, given the fact that My Mate Mozzie has been bad since, but he needs to run on good ground. There is what's his face was a bit further back, Mighty Potter.
Yeah,
but they put a hood on her the last time, and I don't know why they did it. She doesn't need a hood. She just let her go. She's fine. So she did win a grade 1 early in the season when she did beat My Mate Mozzie. She's like a 20-ish to 1 poke, I think. Obviously, she's Willie Mullins, so it'd be interesting, but I don't think she should be as big as she is, personally. But I wouldn't. There's no confidence in her in the absolute slightest. But I've said something now, and I just put it out there for the sake of it. Let's move on, because the Mayor's Novices Hurdle is not really one to get too excited about. But surely the Kim Muir, we get excited about that, right? Yeah.
Yay!
Oh, right. Whether that was sarcasm or not, I'm coming straight to you, John. You got one you like?
Well, yeah, my nap of the day was running in this.
Yeah, you have.
So, Frontal Assault. Now, he's on 139 at the moment. And I think they've sort of kept him back, really, to preserve that mark again. I think this is definitely an Elliott plot job. Because if he'd have run again and finished maybe first or second, he definitely wouldn't get in. Now, hopefully, he doesn't get taxed any more than 3 or 4, really, because I don't want to see him right at the top of the weights. But hopefully, he can turn up with maybe Rob James on him in this. And I think he'd have a great chance in it, to be honest with you. The one I'd initially backed for this is Death Duty. Now, he was given what he was on 144, and I'm sure that they checked with the British handicapper that he would still be on 144 for this race, but they haven't entered him in it now. I don't understand, because he obviously would get in off 144. So I had to put a line through him and then fell back on Frontal Assault. So I think that he'd have a great chance. You know, obviously Elliott's got a very good record in this race, hasn't he? And, you know, I think, he's the one for me in this, Dave.
Nice. I'll come back to you after this. Ian, on you.
John, just to piss on your chips, I heard that Frontal Assault's not qualified. Is that right?
I don't know. Why wouldn't he be qualified?
I'm sure. We talked about another show earlier, and they said
no. They think he'll be. They'll think he'll be rated too high.
Yeah.
He's not going to get more than £6 off the handicapper.
Yeah,
he's had 3 runs
to see it, yeah.
Okay, no, something I watched today, and they said that potentially may not get in.
Yeah, I think that's if he goes. Yeah, he could if they rate him over 155. He won't. 145. He won't get in, will he?
No.
And I'll get me money back.
Yeah.
Cheers, Ian. Well done for that. Ruined the whole Thursday.
Ruined the mood.
Out.
Well, I've come down on 2. One is called Ain't That a Shame. It's run into Gallimard Deschamps twice. And we know it will stay the 3 mile 2 trip. And the other one I looked at was quite interesting. It's called Oscar Elite. It was second in the Albert Bartlett behind Vanillier last year. This season's been 4th behind L'Homme Pressé. Again, potentially if L'Homme Pressé runs well, it could frank the form. Another one was I've mentioned a couple of times is Imperial Alcazar. Again, could potentially frank the form. And I believe Oscar Elite back in April at Aintree ran into a hoist in your and Brave Man's Game. So again, depending on how either of them 2 run, it could improve the form for Oscar Elite. But I think they're both quite big prices, and I fancy one of them 2. Could potentially 2 each ways.
Nice. Matt, anything from you?
There wasn't going to be, but I think I've just found one.
Go on.
Ooh, live.
Gordon Elliott. That's priced about 14 to 1. Ties in form with Frontal Assault that John's just mentioned.
Yep.
And another key stat, hasn't won on its last race before the festival when finished 7 lengths behind Death Duty. The issue is, I think he's rated about 140.
141.
141. Will she get?
Yeah.
Depends on the tax, doesn't it? But at the moment, that's the one that I've just come across there while we're doing it right now.
Yeah, beautiful. Right, so this is a race that I've not got a stupidly strong opinion. Mr. Coffee's annoying me because he's definitely better than 137 if he wants to throw it in, but the step up in trip could be the answer to him. I'll be interested if they ran him, but he's never going to be a back or price, and you never trust him. Another one that you probably shouldn't back and you should never trust, with the second one I mentioned, but Champagne Platinum. Ridiculous, isn't it? That's pretty much it. The bit won, didn't he? Obviously, it's changed trainer now. It left. Nicky Henderson went to Ender Bolger. Won at Navan in January. Then Punchtown after. Death Duty, the horse you were talking about there, Ian. John, sorry. The 144 mark of him, etc. was getting a couple of pounds, 3 lengths behind him. Champagne Platinum would be 139. So, you look between those 2. If you like Death Duty, then Champagne Platinum could be semi-interesting. And everyone always thought that he was going to be a reasonable horse, didn't they? And it's just never really panned out. But the fact that Ender Bolger managed to get a win out of him for the first time in 4 years, or just over 3 years, maybe they turned a corner. And we know that JP likes to win the race. So he's 16 to 1 now. But again, I reckon by the time the weights come out tomorrow, if he sneaks in, I don't think he'll be
I've just noticed that Champagne Platinum beat Shane by a neck at Navan in January, so you could be onto one now.
Well, you know, I mean, I do
ties in
try.
well with Fleur as well.
Exactly, just ties in with all of them.
The other one that I mentioned earlier on for the ultimate that could go in this because of the mark is Rapper up 143 as well.
Yeah. Exciting. So not too bad a race, is it? But that wraps up Thursday. Are we happy to leave it there? Or has anyone got a final word?
Nope.
Boom.